Next on Worcester News tonight, 2 celebrities die of apparent suicides this week. How it's raising a discussion here in central Massachusetts. Plus, towns in the Blackstone Valley getting ready for legalized marijuana. What challenges towns may face. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Brittany Schaefer. 2 celebrities die of apparent suicides this week, and it's sparking conversation and awareness. Here in central Massachusetts, mental health advocates say sometimes those in need can't reach out, and the people around them need to show support. Our Gretchen LaRosa has the story.
The high-profile suicides of Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade taking place this week sparked conversation locally. Advocates and mental health professionals say they want to stress the resources available to those in need.
Suicide doesn't discriminate. As we've seen, it doesn't matter what gender you are, what race you are, what socioeconomic class you are. Anybody can struggle, and there really is no such thing as having it all.
Jessica Zakara, a spokesperson for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and chairwoman of the Central Mass Out of the Darkness Walk, says opening up a dialogue about suicide can avoid a crisis.
The best thing that you can do is to just ask someone, is something going on? Are you okay? I'm here. The worst that's going to happen is they're going to say yes.
And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the number of suicides are rising nationwide. In Massachusetts, suicide rates increased 35% since 1999.
Even though we're seeing these increased rates, we do have treatments that have been developed that are effective for anxiety, for depression, for mental health conditions that put people at risk for suicide.
Farchione says even though the treatment options are improving, getting someone help can be the most difficult part.
It's incredibly difficult to identify, who is likely to commit suicide.
For Zakara, volunteering through the AFSP has been her way of offering a hand to those in need and potentially avoiding pain other families have had to endure.
I think the bigger thing, though, is that we can't expect people that are struggling to always be the ones to reach out. I think we need to reach in.
Now, experts we spoke to say it's important to reach out and listen without judgment and ask about suicide directly while encouraging seeking help. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255, and they offer a crisis text message line by texting HOME, HOME, to 741-741. In the studio, Gretchen LaRosa, Worcester News Tonight.
Celebrity chef and host of the TV show Parts Unknown, Anthony Bourdain, was found dead today in his hotel room in France. Bourdain is now being remembered here in the Bay State, where he had special ties. Malcolm Johnson has the details.
I'm Anthony Bourdain, and this is Raw Craft.
He's the gifted chef that took us across the globe and made us feel like we were at the dinner table with him.
I think Anthony Bourdain is one of the most memorable chefs I've ever met in my entire career.
Jason Santos, owner of several prominent Boston restaurants, like most, couldn't believe his friend and role model had taken his own life.
I don't think we'll ever know what really motivates somebody to take their own lives, but it's very, very sad.
I've had dinner at his restaurant. I've done a radio show with him. I think he's just larger than life.
It was just last year Bourdain sat down with our own Jackie Bruno to talk about foods he loved from right here in New England. Bourdain's career took him all over the world, but it all started in Provincetown. In 1972, he got a job as a dishwasher at the Lobster Pot.
17-year-old kid who was, crashing on a floor with a bunch of other summer renters who worked in restaurants and pizzerias. They got sick of my loafing and freeloading, and one of my housemates said, there's a job available.
And just as he loved food, people loved him for the many adventures he'd take us on.
Introduce different cultures and different worlds, different ways of being to other people, and I think that's a gift.
He was just like, let's go travel, let's have fun, try new things. I love that about him. He was just kind of his own guy.
And the list goes on when it comes to the characteristics that people loved about Bourdain. As we know, he had a career in the restaurant industry that spanned over 30 years. Reporting in Newton, I'm Malcolm Johnson, Worcester News Tonight.
Now to an update on a story we brought to you Thursday on a 4-hour search for teens in the Barre-Hubbardston area. 3 teens ran away from a residential school for boys with behavioral issues in Barre. Police say they were notified of the incident Wednesday night, 3 hours after the boys ran away from the Stetson school. Police searched the boys' room and found a detailed written manifesto with gang symbolism and a mission statement to locate drugs, guns, and other weapons. The notebook also contained instructions on how to make a bomb, commit carjackings, robberies, and evade police. The teens broke into at least 3 vehicles and stole several items before their capture Thursday afternoon. Deputy Chief James Bourdain says it was a serious issue.
Had they continued to be on the run, it's our belief that they would have continued along with their crime spree. These weren't just juveniles that were homesick and wanted to walk home. They are violent individuals, and they did have a plan. So it was important that we put the word out and that we apprehend these individuals.
The 3 teens, ages 15 and 16, were taken into custody and arraigned today on several charges, including felony charges and larceny. The Massachusetts State Police boxing team taking swings at a team from overseas Friday night. State Police hosting the Tyne and Ware Fire and Rescue team from Newcastle, England. The match taking place at the Sturbridge Hotel and Conference Center. The State Police team started 25 years ago, and every event raises money for charity. Coach Lieutenant Charles Murray says tonight's charity is an important one to the team and to the towns of Auburn and Leicester.
Tonight we're going to hold a raffle, which we're doing throughout the night, and at intermission, where we're going to raffle off some TVs, foursomes of golf courses, Red Sox tickets, and that money is going to go to benefit the Ron Tarantino Memorial Park that they're building in Leicester in his memory.
The Mass State Police boxing team is the only state police boxing team in the United States. Massachusetts is now less than a month away from the legalization of marijuana. The state is expecting numerous growing and retail facilities to open once July 1st arrives. And while some towns are preparing for recreational cannabis, others have banned it. Our Cam Jandro has more.
A small collection of towns in the Blackstone Valley are preparing for the state's legalization of marijuana. Millbury initially had a moratorium postponing recreational pot shops, but town manager David Marciello says it was removed because of the potential financial impacts.
An impact fee of 3%, a tax on medical of 3%, and a tax on recreational of 3%. If you add those all together, that's a very significant amount of revenue that should come to the town.
Right next to Millbury is Sutton, a town which banned retail marijuana last month. Blackstone Valley Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Jeannie Hebert says there are concerns about the industry.
It may grow too quickly and they wouldn't be ready for the growth. So I think the regulation and maybe putting the brakes on a little bit.
The Attorney General's office reports roughly half of the state's cities and towns have a ban on marijuana. Hebert believes things will change once the idea of recreational marijuana isn't so new.
Right now it's the new kid in town and it's a novelty, but once it gets up and running, it'll be a business like any other business and it'll be regulated.
Both Marciello and Hebert say, like the rest of the state, towns in the Blackstone Valley are ready for legalized marijuana.
It wasn't going to be stopped whether we wanted it or didn't want it, so we took the most practical approach and said, it's happening, let's make this the best we can make it.
They realize that this is something that they're going to have to watch very closely and stay ahead of.
Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
A 35-year-old Worcester man is killed in a car accident early Friday morning when a wrong-way driver hit his vehicle head-on. And tonight, Mass State Police are releasing the identity of the victim as Raymond Medina Cabreja. Police say a 45-year-old woman was traveling north on the southbound side of Interstate 495 in Westford. She struck Cabreja's car, seen here, head-on. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The Westford woman sustained serious injuries. The reason the 45-year-old was driving on the wrong side of the highway is still under investigation. It's a girl and she couldn't wait. Sterling paramedics help a woman deliver her baby while on the way to the hospital Friday. They were just minutes away but say everything went smoothly. Our Chandler Walsh spoke to the paramedics today. She has the details.
It was rewarding. It was a kind of a rush, you know, an emotional rush as well to go through that.
Sterling firefighter paramedics describe the moment a healthy baby girl was born in their ambulance this morning. Jim Emerton and Jamison Shea responded to Sterling Nursery School when a woman went into labor after dropping off her first child.
We assessed the patient and realized that, you know, delivery might be imminent, so we kind of put a hustle on and did what we had to do.
The call came in at 7:01, and by 7:24, the baby was born.
And the little girl was there, and she let us know, gave us a nice cry.
It was both men's first time delivering a baby in the back of a vehicle. They say they train for it and have special equipment on board. Emerton says they were prepared when the newborn came on I-290 just minutes away from UMass Memorial Medical Center.
It came time to work together. We all worked together, and it worked out. It worked out well.
The paramedics say delivering babies is not common for the department. Shay's had one other experience, driving the ambulance during a delivery years ago.
It was a little different this time because we were actively involved in the actual delivery. So it was a little bit more rewarding and a little bit more exciting.
Both paramedics say it wasn't the easiest thing to do in a moving vehicle, but they did their best to support the mom and held her hand when they could.
We deal with a lot of happy things and some sad things, and it was a real happy thing to get to do on a day like today.
Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.